Hello and a very warm welcome to a brand new edition of To The Point with me, Frank Pereira, on Raju Television. The Civil Aviation Ministry has been in the eye of a storm over the last 30 days or so. We've seen several controversies associated with the Civil Aviation Ministry, and Civil Aviation Ministry has come out and clarified some of those controversies as well and what was behind it. And to talk in detail about those controversies and also to talk about the health of the civil aviation sector in the country, I have with me the Union Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Ashok Gajapati. Raju. Sir, welcome to The Point.
Thank you.
As I said in my opening, the Civil Aviation Ministry has been in the eye of a storm. You've come out and apologized for some of those controversies and said that, you apologize for any inconvenience caused to the passengers flying on that flight to New York, in which the Chief Minister of Maharashtra was, and the flight from Leh as well, on which the MOS home was flying. Do you think that these controversies could have been avoided?
You see, unfortunately, Air India has become an easy target for bashing. There's not only these two incidents. There are unfortunate incidents that do happen, and they get inquired into, but the policy, or rather the initiative, is to move to on-time performance. All airlines world over compete on that, and they try to keep to the online performance, the time given in their schedules, because passengers are more time conscious these days, and airlines are no longer elitist. They become the common man, this thing. Now, there are certain aberrations which cause inconvenience, and those aberrations have to be looked into, and what you have talked about has to be addressed two ways. One, such type of things should not happen again. And the inconvenience is obviously regretted. So the reports will come and action will go according to what those reports are.
Before we wait for the reports, what is the official story? I mean, could it have been avoided? What's the talk?
The talk, there are plenty. But the incident should never have happened. It has happened.
Indeed.
So that's there. Now, on-time performance is important, because if an airline can't perform according to its schedules, then its costs go up.
Indeed.
And Air India should not be having its costs going up. But Air India has had good things and a few bad things. The bad things really get the publicity. The good things are voted down. So that's one thing.
Why do you think that happens? Why is you said Air India is a soft target. Why do you think it is a soft target?
Because nobody kind of protects it in that sense. You see,
isn't it the job of the Civil Aviation Ministry to protect it then?
An airline has to protect itself. You see, a civil aviation is not expected to sit on only one airline. Though the public sector is owned by the government, it is essentially an airline. Now, can occur, and they do occur worldwide, for a lot of reasons. Weather is one, technical reasons are there, but delays should be far and not frequent. So this is the stress in which we are going. But we in the ministry monitor the online performance of all airlines, particularly within the country, and we find Air India is improving there. So that's good.
We'll talk about Air India in a little more detail in a short while from now, but before that, as a Civil Aviation Minister, you are extended several privileges, but I know for a fact that you do not use any of those privileges, but ensure that you go through the procedures that a common man would at an airport. Then why is it that some people try and misuse these VIP privileges given to them?
You see, let us not confuse on what a privilege is. If a member of parliament has any privilege, it is freedom of speech. And this should be guarded. Of course, there are limitations there, in the sense you can't talk anything. It's regulated by the speaker or the chairman of the Rajya Sabha, as the case may be. But if a member was called on, say, defamation for what he said in the house, then that brings a pressure. So that way, that's a privilege. The rest of it is basically courtesies. When members of parliament are bashed up in the press for getting a cup of tea or a chair in a lounge, I think that's not a privilege, because it's a courtesy. And in India being a large country, and members of parliament do become frequent flyers. So whatever a frequent flyer gets, generally a member of parliament gets. So I had been asking the press to tell me what is it that a MP gets which a frequent flyer does not get. So they have not been able to come up with anything. They say a seat in a lounge or a cup of tea. I would think a cup of tea or a seat in a lounge is basically courtesies. Is
it difficult to avoid some of these courtesies that are extended to maybe, you know, the Chief Minister of Maharashtra now is a big man? It's difficult to avoid certain courtesies. Is it difficult? Do you face such problems?
You see, basically airlines have become hospitality industry. It was once upon a time an elitist thing, but it's basically a hospitality type of an industry. So I think courtesies too are important for any airline. Even if you see the low-cost carriers, they are also courteous. Everybody is courteous. In fact, the complaints we get is of rude behavior. Rudeness should not be there.
It's just in the case of Air India, it's highlighted a little more, is what you're saying.
Air India, I don't know. Now, in a way, if you look at, there is a little indiscipline in Air India. So, a lot more bashing goes on Air India than it goes on the other airlines. Like wherever there's food, there are rats.
There has been an incident of a flight being grounded because of rats on it a few months ago.
There's a rat wherever there's food, there'll be rats. And airlines are no exception. So when a rat is sighted on Air India, it becomes headlines. And if it's sighted in another airline, the staff also won't talk about it. They will correct it. They will try to see these rodents are thrown off the aircraft or boarded, this thing. But Air India is a little different. It's a culture which I think Air India, people with Air India, when they get to work as a team, they have delivered. Like a Yemen crisis, so many things we have gone through in this 1 year itself. But it is not always that they are able to work as a cohesive team. And that's, I think, what it is all about.
But do you think there is, you know, a VIP Raj kind of culture in India when it comes to certain high-end influential people?
You see, in India, I think there is a problem in the sense, if you are able to generate discomfort for others and get away with it, you are a big man. And this cuts across all political parties, and it cuts across all activity. But I would feel that a big person has to exhibit an internal discipline of being concerned.
They should come from within, is what you're saying.
So I guess that has to happen.
Let's talk about Air India now. You know, we all know that Air India has been bleeding for a while now. How long is the government of India going to carry the burden of Air India on its shoulders?
You see, Air India is a nice airline. It has to get its books right. Now, delaying an aircraft, say, adds to cost. So, wherever they need to get out of it, they should have strategies which will bring down costs, because it's a competitive world and they need to compete. It's a good airline. Government has given it a turnaround plan, a financial reconstruction plan. They need to stick with it. They need to work as a team and come out of it. We wish them well, because it's in the country's interest that they survive.
Indeed, it is in the country's interest that they survive. And like you mentioned, Air India is a very nice airline, and we've all flown Air India, and we know how good the services can be. But I asked this question last time when I met you as well, and I'm going to ask you again. Are you considering privatization of Air India?
You see, the question is, with these bad books that they have, it's very difficult that it's difficult to think that a private person will come and take the burden straight away. But it needs to pull up its socks and work it. That's important. That we have to keep at it.
So the onus is on Air India then, you're saying?
Definitely. They are the front. They are the airline. They have to survive. They have to serve the Indian people. There are social obligations on Air India. In fact, if you look at our route dispersal guidelines, Category 1, 10%, all airlines, public sector and private sector, they have to fly the Category 2 and Category 3 areas. While all, because it's mandated, so 10%, they all go according to the mandated thing. Air India does 23, 24%. So Air India's connectivity within India is something. And that has to be kept up.
Indeed.
It has an economic impact on the country.
Sure.
So we need to keep it going.
It does, and it's good to know that the government is keeping it going. But let's talk about another airline now, an airline that almost went under at the end of last year, SpiceJet, and still not doing extremely well, because I read a report in the Hindu this morning a report which said 5% of the rostered flights for SpiceJet, in fact, have been cancelled over a period of 11 months. So has the airline really recovered or not?
You see, your service disruptions are the worst thing, because any passenger buying a ticket to get onto an airline and he is not able to do that, or the airline is just non-existent, that's wrong. That's the worst scenario. But when you look at SpiceJet, they have taken a very big challenge. When it went through turbulent weather, we kind of did like a toddler. You do some light hand-holding, and then the toddler walks away after that. It grows up to be a big man. So that type of thing. So we did a little hand-holding at that time. We are happy that it didn't crash, because had it crashed at that time, like Kingfisher, we lost. The country lost at an earlier date. We would have, the immediate impact would have been 5,000 jobs gone, those directly involved. And the indirect impact of it would have been much, much more. So that way it has survived. It is serving the Indian skies. It has to get its books right. That we can't really help them from government. But we wish them well.
Okay. So the toddler is now an adolescent.
We hope it will grow into a strong man to serve the Indian skies.
All right. On that note, we'll slip into a short break, but we'll continue talking with the Civil Aviation Minister on the other side. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television, in conversation with the Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Ashok Gajapati Raju. Mr. Raju, you recently held an Aviation Day. And, it's a one-of-a-kind thing that we do in India, but tell us something about the Aviation Day.
In reality, there's no such a thing as an Aviation Day. Like, Aviation Day is every day. Generally, world over, they do honor people connected with aviation, in the sense that in the United States, Wright brothers. So, that those days are chosen because that was how aviation started world over. So anyway, that's a different thing. Here the CIA thought that they called it Aviation Day. The ministry has not called anything an Aviation Day, and aviation is every day. So that those angles are there. So I won't say much on this, because what was interesting was the CIA interaction. They sat here yesterday and they have interacted, and we expect some points to come out on which we could probably ponder. Civil Aviation Ministry, as it goes, we are a catalyst. So we'd like to either advance the actions. Of course, governments can also retard actions. So that's the. So we as a catalyst would like to play an advancing role, a positive role.
And be a part of anything like this in the future as well.
Yeah.
Okay. You've been the Civil Aviation Minister from day one since the Modi administration took over on the 26th of May 2014. How has this one odd year been for you, and what would you term as your major achievements?
I would say the number of airlines have grown in the country. Ministry, of course, direct economics has an impact on it. So passengers have grown, cargo has grown. We could have been better had we been able to get the maintenance, repair, overhaul within the country. But that has not happened. There are some taxation issues involved there. But we are hopeful that our own finance ministry will address itself to the service tax part of it and to the customs part of it. So if that happens and the states address themselves to this, because it's highly taxed. Some states have brought down taxes in this period, and they have seen some economic activity growing as far as aviation activity within those states. But we would request, we are basically a federal structure, so if the states could address it, I've written to all the chief ministers also, and if they could address themselves to that, then they become also aviation friendly, then this activity will grow. Economically it will be beneficial because it's basically an economic activity, and it will contribute to the economics of the country.
Indeed. Talking about economics and talking about the finance ministry, are you going to make some kind of a recommendation or some kind of a request to the finance ministry to get some additional grants for Air India? I read somewhere that there is a proposal for 2,400 crore rupees or something to that extent.
You see, the financial restructuring plan is there. So it is all linked with performance. That has been agreed by the cabinet in earlier days. So we hold them to that. Additional grants, we are not thinking of Air India. It's now showing an EBITDA positive type of a thing, which is a good thing. So we hope that they'll come out of it.
Okay. We spoke about some of the achievements of your ministry over the last 1 year. What were some of the significant challenges that you faced?
Well, it's very challenging because you see right now, if you look at it, the mood is of hope. And that itself is something great, because earlier it was a hopeless type of situation. It's moved to hope. And if things go well, which we hope it will, because we are trying to promote airlines, trying to promote infrastructure, all this, if it falls in place, it will definitely have an impact on the economy, a positive impact on the economy. And this initiative of Make in India is there, and we would like to make it really happen. So that's it.
Going forward now, you have another 4 years to go, a little less than 4 years. So what are your plans for the civil aviation industry? Long-term plans as well as short-term plans?
You see, we need to put in infrastructure in certain places. Connectivity, we are committed to. The government is committed to connectivity. So we can't allow connectivity to slip. We have a unfortunate situation where for the past, say 2 years, about 32 airports in the country, there's no activity. So it is like a non-performing asset. So we have to see that these become performing assets. And where geographically, in an economic sense, you require new infrastructure also, that infrastructure has to come into place. Modern science has been continuously evolving. and the impact is on aviation. So what was good for yesterday might not be good for tomorrow.
Yes.
So the planning processes should be, in fact, that's what we have tried to move it out. From planning for the past to planning for the future. So we have tried to shift that direction. Of course, our policy, if you come to the policy, it's not truth for all time. It continuously evolves. But when you have an impact on economic activity, all players, all stakeholders should have some certainty about it. So I would think in the short run, say a certainty about 3 years or something like that.
Indeed.
Then you can keep improving on things and go ahead. So what we require, we should be clear with and tell them, look, like regional connectivity is sacrosanct to us. We are a big country. We can ill afford not to have connectivity in that sense. So our stress will be on things like that. Of course, we want our economic activity to make money. No one who comes here is planning a loss. If they get a loss, it's inadvertent.
Yes.
It's not charity that one is planning here. So we have to be clear with them. This is what we want. This is what we would like you to do. And new airlines have come in.
Indeed. Talking about new airlines, we saw 2 new airlines in the last 1 year. That was AirAsia India as well as Vistara. Are there any more new airlines in the pipeline?
Sure. They are. Why pipeline? They're already flying. You have Air Pegasus, which is based in Bangalore.
Yes.
It's doing about 3-4 states there. Then just day before yesterday, Turbojet, TrueJet, they've also started. They've all started with this ATRs. And ATRs are nice because they will connect these unconnected airports.
Yes.
So,
the
and
regional
Air
connectivity
India,
that you've been talking about and how it is sacrosanct, you said.
And Air India has also leased out a few of these propeller aircraft. So I think the connectivity is going up.
So the future looks bright for the aviation industry is what you're saying.
Looks bright in the sense more passengers are using airlines. So that's good news.
Okay. Let's talk about something else. You recently launched the, the satellite navigation system, Gagan. Why don't you tell us something about it?
Gagan has than aviation itself. But for aviation, it's a very few countries in the world that have a satellite navigation system. I think about 4 of them. And India has reached that level. So that way it helps in navigation, and it helps us cutting fuel costs, and probably contribution of CO2 gases will also come down. So in that sense, and besides aviation, it also has a lot of other uses. So our scientists have done well. On the aviation sector, it has just been certified. A few days back, it was certified by the DGCA. So now our airlines can start using that facility. So that's good.
Okay, it's good and it's great to have you on the program, Mr. Raju. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on To The Point once again. And we hope to see you again soon, and all the very best with whatever it is that you're doing.
Thank you, and I hope we'll meet again for all the right reasons. So, thank you.
Well, on that note, I'll call it a wrap. Thank you so much for watching. See you again next time. Bye-bye.